The screaming stars. The observation deck of Research Station Echo 7 vibrated with a frequency that made Maya's teeth ache. Through the reinforced viewport, the gas giant Kepler 442b swirled in violent shades of amber and rust, its storms creating electromagnetic pulses that hammered against the station's shielding like invisible fists. Maya pressed her palm against the cold metal wall, feeling the station's distress through her fingertips. 23 days since the last supply run. 15 days since the communication array went dark. 7 days since the reactor started singing that low, haunting note that meant they were running on borrowed time. The storms are getting worse. She didn't turn around. She knew that voice, had been avoiding it for 3 weeks. Dr. Kael Reeves stood behind her, close enough that she could smell the metallic tang of neural interface fluid that always clung to him after his sessions with the quantum computers. "They've been worse," Maya said, her breath fogging the viewport. "Remember the first month? When the lightning was so intense, it fried half our sensors?" That was different. Kael moved to stand beside her, and Maya caught her reflection in the glass alongside his. 2 ghosts floating above an alien world. This isn't natural storm activity. Something's changed in the planet's core. The magnetic field is shifting. Maya finally looked at him. Dark circles shadowed his eyes, and his usually steady hands trembled slightly. The neural interfaces were taking their toll, but he kept pushing deeper into the quantum networks, searching for answers that might not exist. "You need to stop," she said. "The interfaces are burning you out. I can see the synaptic degradation in your scans. We're dying up here, Maya." His voice cracked. "All of us? The reactor's going to fail. The storms are intensifying, and nobody's coming to save us. If I don't find a solution in the quantum substrate, we're all going to become another footnote in the colony expansion records." She wanted to reach out, to touch his arm, to offer some comfort. But there was too much history between them, too many words left unspoken since the accident on Titan Station. Since the day her research killed 47 people, and Kael was the only one who didn't blame her. The deck shuddered again, and this time the lights flickered. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in hellish red. The quantum computer detected something, Kael said suddenly, his eyes focusing on something beyond the viewport. 3 hours ago. A pattern in the electromagnetic chaos. Something that shouldn't exist. What kind of pattern? Communication. Structured, intentional communication. Coming from inside the planet, Maya's blood went cold. Kepler 442b was supposed to be uninhabitable. Gas giant, crushing pressure, toxic atmosphere. Nothing could live there. That's impossible. I know. But the quantum networks don't lie. There's something down there, Maya. Something intelligent. And I think it's been trying to reach us. Before she could respond, the station lurched violently. Alarms shrieked as the artificial gravity fluctuated. Through the viewport, the planet's surface erupted in a cascade of light, patterns of bioluminescence spreading across the storm clouds like veins of liquid fire. "My God," Maya whispered. "It's responding to us." The lights on the station flickered in the same pattern. "Maya," Kael grabbed her arm, his fingers digging into her skin. "I have to go down there. I have to make contact. You'll die. The atmospheric pressure alone would crush you in seconds. Not if I use the deep dive pod. I can modify it, create a neural link between the quantum computer and whatever's down there. Bridge the communication gap." She stared at him, seeing the desperation in his eyes. The same desperation she'd seen in her own reflection every day since Titan Station. "You're talking about suicide. I'm talking about salvation. For all of us." The station shook again, and this time something deep in the hull groaned like a living thing in pain. "There's something else," Kael said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Something I haven't told you." The quantum computer, it's been showing me things. Memories that aren't mine. Images of Titan Station. Of the accident. Of you. Maya's heart stopped. That's impossible. You weren't there. I know. But somehow it knows. It knows what happened, what you did, what you've been carrying all these years. And it's been using that knowledge to show me how to save us. The lights pulsed again, and for just a moment, Maya could swear she heard something in the electromagnetic static. A voice, distant and alien, calling her name. The descent the fabrication bay reeked of ozone and desperation. Kael worked with mechanical precision, his neural interface scarred fingers, weaving quantum processors through the deep-dive pod's hull like a surgeon threading arteries. Each modification brought him closer to the edge of synaptic collapse, but the alternative was watching 37 people suffocate in the void. Pressure differential alone will crush this thing, Maya said, running diagnostics on his improvised neural bridge. Her voice carried the weight of someone who had watched too many brilliant ideas turn into mass graves. Not if the quantum computer can predict the pressure changes milliseconds before they happen. Kael's hands never stopped moving, installing the final quantum relay. The pod becomes part of the planet's electromagnetic field instead of fighting it. Maya studied the readouts, her scientific mind warring with her survival instincts. The modifications were theoretically sound, but theory had a way of killing people when it met reality. 6 hours, she said finally. That's how long the quantum bridge will hold before the feedback loop burns out every circuit in the pod, including the ones in your brain. Then I better make contact fast. She moved closer, close enough to smell the metallic tongue of neural fluid that always clung to him after his interface sessions. Close enough to see the micro-tremors in his hands that meant his nervous system was already starting to fail. Kael. Her voice broke on his name. This isn't just about the crew anymore, is it? This is about what happened on Titan Station. About proving that my research wasn't just a weapon of mass destruction. He stopped working and looked at her with eyes that held 3 years of unspoken pain. Maya, what if I told you that everything you think you know about Titan Station is wrong? What do you mean? The quantum computer. It's been showing me things. Memory fragments from the disaster. But not just random data echoes. Specific moments. Conversations that happened in places you never visited. Maya's blood went cold. That's impossible. Quantum computers don't store organic memories. This one does. And Maya, someone sabotaged your equations. The resonance cascade wasn't an accident caused by your miscalculations. It was murder, disguised as scientific failure. The words hit her like a physical blow. 3 years of guilt, 3 years of believing she was responsible for 47 deaths. And now he was telling her it was all a lie. Who? The word came out as a whisper. I don't know yet. But whoever it was, they had intimate knowledge of your work. They knew exactly which variables to alter to turn your breakthrough into a catastrophe. The station lurched violently, emergency lights bathing everything in hellish red. Through the fabrication bay's viewport, the gas giant pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that seemed to respond to their conversation. It's listening. Maya breathed. Whatever's down there, it knows what we're talking about. Kael sealed the final connection and turned to face the modified pod. Then maybe it has answers. Or maybe it's the thing that killed those people. Maya grabbed his arm, her fingers digging into his sleeve. What if this whole situation is a trap? What if something down there orchestrated our isolation, our desperation, just to get us to come to it? Then we're already dead. Kael's voice carried grim acceptance. But Maya, if there's even a chance that you're not responsible for Titan Station, if there's a possibility that your research could still save humanity instead of destroying it, don't I owe it to those 47 people to find out? She wanted to say no, wanted to drag him away from the pod and find another solution. any other solution. But the station's life support was failing, and the quantum patterns from the planet below were growing more insistent by the hour. "The neural interface will kill you," she said. "Even if the pressure doesn't, even if you make contact, the quantum feedback will burn out your brain. Maybe. Or maybe consciousness is more resilient than we think." He climbed into the pod, his movements careful and deliberate. "Maya, if I don't come back, if this goes wrong, I need you to know something. Don't." She pressed her palm against the pod's viewport. "Don't make this about us. Not when you might die. Especially when I might die." His voice was muffled by the pod systems coming online, but she could hear the emotion beneath his words. "I've been in love with you since the first day we worked together on Luna Station. Before Titan, before everything went wrong, before you started hating yourself for crimes you didn't commit." Tears blurred her vision. "Kael, and if I die down there, if this is the last time we talk, I want you to know that loving you was the best decision I ever made. Even if you never felt the same way." The launch sequence initiated, drowning out her response. Maya pressed both hands against the viewport, watching his face through the reinforced glass as the bay doors opened. Beneath them, "I did feel the same way," she whispered, knowing he couldn't hear her over the roar of the engines. "I still do." The pod dropped into the swirling chaos of the gas giant's atmosphere, disappearing into the storm clouds, like a prayer cast into the void. Maya stood alone in the empty bay, surrounded by the tools of his desperate modifications and the weight of everything they'd never said to each other. The quantum computer chimed softly, displaying an incoming transmission. But when the static cleared, the voice that emerged wasn't Kael's. "Dr. Maya Torres," the alien consciousness said, pronouncing her name with impossible familiarity. "We have been expecting you to discover the truth about Elena Voss." Maya's legs nearly gave out. Elena Voss, her mentor, her friend, the woman who had comforted her after Titan Station, who had helped rebuild her shattered career, the woman who had unlimited access to Maya's research files. "What do you know about Elena?" Maya asked, her voice barely a whisper. "We know she murdered 47 innocent people to advance her own ambitions. We know she manipulated you into carrying the guilt for her crimes. And we know she is on her way here, now to claim the quantum technology you and Kael had discovered." On the display, star charts appeared showing a military vessel in hyperspace, 6 hours out from their position. Elena's personal flagship, running dark and fast toward Kepler 442b. "She's coming to finish what she started," the alien voice continued. "To take your research and use it to enslave every human colony in the galaxy. Unless you help us stop her." The truth beneath. The alien consciousness flowed through Kael's neural interface like liquid starlight, carrying with it the weight of millennia. He floated in his pod, suspended between the crushing darkness of the gas giant's depths and the infinite expanse of an alien mind that spoke in mathematics, older than human civilization. "Show her," the voice whispered through quantum channels that bypassed human language entirely. "Show her what Elena Voss truly is." Back on the station, Maya stared at the holographic display as impossible images materialized before her. Not just data feeds from Kael's pod, but memories. Visions of events she'd never witnessed, conversations she'd never heard. Elena Voss in a shadowy meeting room, 3 months before the Titan Station incident. Corporate executives around a table, their faces hidden by scrambling fields. "A Torres girl's research is too dangerous," Elena's voice, crystal clear despite the years. "If she succeeds, if humanity gains true quantum manipulation, we lose control of the expansion effort. The colonies will become independent, ungovernable. Then stop her," another voice said. Cold, calculating. "I have a better idea. We let her succeed, then we make sure the success destroys her, and everyone who might follow in her footsteps. Maya's hands clenched as the memory continued. Elena accessing Maya's research files, making the subtle changes that would turn a breakthrough into a catastrophe. Calculating exactly how many people would die. Planning her own rise to power on the foundation of those deaths. No, Maya whispered, but the images kept coming. Elena arriving at Titan Station after the disaster, comforting Maya as she wept over the bodies. Offering her a position on the research council. Playing the role of supportive mentor while secretly ensuring Maya's career would never recover. She made you complicit, the alien voice said, speaking now through the station's communication system. Made you carry the guilt for her crimes while she ascended to control humanity's future. The quantum connection between Maya and Kael suddenly intensified, and she found herself seeing through his eyes. The pod hung in a vast cavern of bioluminescent coral, structures that pulsed with organic light. But these weren't plants or simple organisms. They were buildings, architecture, a civilization that had evolved in the crushing depths of a gas giant. We are the architects, the alien presence explained, and Maya felt Kael's wonder mixing with her own rage. We have watched your species expand across the galaxy, watched you repeat the same patterns of dominance and destruction that consumed our own people eons ago. The coral structures shifted, revealing glimpses of ancient history. The architects as they once were, a species that had conquered dozens of worlds before their own success destroyed them. Wars fought over resources, planets stripped bare, entire populations enslaved or eliminated. Elena Voss represents the path we once walked, the voice continued. She will use the power of quantum manipulation not to elevate humanity, but to control it. To create an empire built on the bones of those who dare to dream of something better. Maya felt Kael's horror as the architects showed him visions of the future they had seen. Colonies enslaved by quantum technology. Independent worlds crushed by weapons derived from her own research. Elena Voss ruling over a sterile empire where innovation was punished and dissent was impossible. Why are you showing us this? Maya asked, her voice echoing through both the station and the alien depths. Because you have a choice, the architect said. We can give you the power to stop her, to expose her crimes, to take back your research and ensure it serves life instead of death. The quantum connection flickered, and suddenly Maya was inside Kael's mind, feeling his thoughts as if they were her own. His fear for the crew, his desperate love for her, his willingness to die if it meant she could find peace. And something else, a growing realization that the architects weren't offering salvation. They were offering revenge. What do you want in return? Kael asked, his voice transmitted through layers of quantum static. The pause stretched for heartbeats they felt like hours. Your quantum manipulation technology, refined, perfected, given freely to us. Maya's blood went cold. The same technology Elena had corrupted, the same research that had killed 47 people. The architects wanted to take it, to use it for their own purposes. You're no different from her, Maya said, the words tearing from her throat. You want to use my work for your own agenda. We seek balance, the architect replied. Elena Voss seeks dominion. There is a difference. Is there? Kael's voice cut through the quantum static, and Maya felt his growing suspicion. You've been alone down here for how long? Millions of years? Waiting for someone with the knowledge to give you the stars again? The coral structures around Kael's pod pulsed brighter, and the water began to heat up. You do not understand, the architect said, but now there was something dangerous in its tone. Your species is young, reckless. You will destroy yourselves and everything you touch, unless you are guided. Guided by you, Maya said. Controlled by you. The quantum connection surged, and suddenly she could feel the full weight of the architect's consciousness. Ancient, vast, and utterly alien, but also familiar in its hunger for power, its certainty that it knew what was best for everyone else. "Kael," she whispered, her hands flying over the station's controls. "Get out of there. Now." But it was too late. The coral structures were moving, flowing like liquid around the pod, trapping him. "You will give us what we seek," the architect said, its voice now coming from every speaker on the station. "Or you will watch everyone you care about die, beginning with him." The sacrifice. The station's hull groaned as the architect's influence spread through every system. Lights pulsed in alien rhythms. Artificial gravity fluctuated wildly, and the air itself seemed to thicken with malevolent presence. Maya's fingers flew across the emergency controls, trying to maintain life support as the entity below turned their sanctuary into a prison. "You have 1 hour," the architect's voice echoed from speakers, walls, even the metal deck plates beneath her feet. "Transfer your quantum manipulation research to our data matrices, or watch your lover dissolve in our embrace." Through the quantum link, Maya felt Kael's terror as the coral structures began secreting acid that ate through the pod's outer hull. But beneath his fear, she sensed something else. A plan forming in the depths of his mind, desperate and suicidal. "Don't," she whispered, knowing he could hear her through their connection. "There has to be another way." "Maya," his voice came through the speakers, distorted by quantum interference and growing weaker. "Elena Voss is monitoring all communications from the orbital relay station. She's been listening to everything. This whole crisis, our isolation, she orchestrated it." The words hit like a physical blow. Maya pulled up the station's communication logs, diving deeper than she'd ever looked before. And there, buried in the data streams, she found the evidence. Coded transmissions. Supply run cancellations. The sabotaged communication array. Elena hadn't just destroyed Titan Station. She'd engineered their current situation, leaving them stranded and desperate, so that when they inevitably discovered something valuable, she could swoop in and claim it. "She's already on her way," Kael continued, his words coming in gasps as the pod's life support failed. "Her ship will be here in 6 hours. She's going to take the quantum technology, make a deal with the architects, and use both to cement her control over human space." The quantum connection flared, and suddenly Maya was seeing through Elena's eyes. Standing on the bridge of a military vessel, watching Kepler 442b grow larger in the viewports, discussing contingency plans with her officers, mentioning casually that there might not be any survivors to rescue. "She's going to kill us all," Maya breathed. "Not if we stop her first," the architect said, its voice now honeyed with false compassion. "Give us the technology, and we will protect you. We will ensure Elena Voss never harms anyone again." But Maya had seen the alien's memories, had felt its hunger for dominion. The architect would stop Elena, yes, but only to replace her with something worse. An alien intelligence that saw humanity as children, to be controlled, guided, owned. "There's a third option," Kael said, his voice growing fainter. "Maya, I need you to listen carefully. The quantum resonance cascade at Titan Station, the equations you thought caused the disaster, they didn't just create a singularity. They created a bridge, a doorway between quantum dimensions. I know. That's how 47 people died. No, that's how 47 people transcended." The words froze her blood. Through the quantum link, she felt Kael accessing the pod's sensors, showing her readings from the planet's core. Deep beneath the architect's coral city lay something else. A quantum signature that matched the energy patterns from Titan Station. "The people who died in the cascade," Kael whispered. "They didn't die, Maya. They translated into quantum consciousness. They've been here all along, trapped in the planet's core, fighting the architect for control." The implications crashed through her like a tidal wave. Her research hadn't just killed those people. It had transformed them into something beyond physical existence, and they'd been trying to communicate, to warn humanity about the architect's true nature. The architect imprisoned them, Kael continued, used their quantum essence to power its own resurrection. That's why it needs your technology refined. Not to guide humanity, but to break free of this planet and spread across the galaxy like a virus. Lies, the architect hissed, but Maya could feel its uncertainty, its rage at being discovered. Maya, Kael's voice was barely a whisper now. I can trigger another cascade. Use the pod's quantum computer to create a resonance bridge. Free the consciousness trapped in the core. But it will require a focal point. Someone to anchor the bridge from this end. She understood immediately. Someone would have to stay connected to the quantum matrix while the cascade built, maintaining the link even as the energy tore them apart at the molecular level. Kael, no. I won't let you sacrifice yourself for my mistakes. They weren't your mistakes. And this isn't about sacrifice. It's about choice. His voice grew stronger, filled with a strange peace. The people at Titan Station chose to trust your research. They believed in the dream of something better. I choose to believe in it too. There has to be another way. Maya, the sound of her name broke her heart. I love you. I've loved you since the first day we worked together on Luna Station, before Titan, before everything went wrong. And because I love you, I need you to live. I need you to take back your research and use it to build the future we all dreamed of. The coral structures pulsed brighter, and she felt the architect's growing panic. It was losing control, its prisoners stirring to consciousness after years of dormancy. Please, Maya whispered, don't leave me alone. You won't be alone. You'll have 47 friends waiting to help you change the galaxy. The quantum cascade began, reality bending around the pod as Kael fed his own life force into the resonance matrix. Through their connection, Maya felt every moment of his transformation, his consciousness expanding beyond the boundaries of flesh and bone into something infinite and eternal. But just as the bridge formed, just as the imprisoned consciousness began to break free, an explosion rocked the station. Elena's ship had arrived early, and she wasn't taking any chances. Hello, Maya. Elena's voice cut through the chaos as armed soldiers poured into the observation deck. I think it's time we had a conversation. The reckoning Elena Voss stood in the ruins of the observation deck like a queen surveying her conquered kingdom. Her silver hair was pulled back severely, and her augmented eyes glowed with calculated malice. Behind her, armored soldiers held the surviving crew at gunpoint, while technicians worked to download the station's data. 3 years, Elena said, her voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. 3 years I've watched you wallow in self-pity over a tragedy you didn't even cause. Do you know how exhausting it's been, pretending to care about your emotional recovery? Maya knelt beside the quantum computer, her hands still connected to the interface, feeling Kael's fading presence in the digital matrix. The cascade was building, reality fracturing around the edges, but Elena's arrival had disrupted the delicate balance. You murdered 47 people, Maya said, her voice steady despite the chaos erupting around them. I eliminated obstacles to human progress. Elena walked closer, her footsteps echoing against the metal deck. Your research was too dangerous in the hands of idealistic children. It needed to be controlled, refined, weaponized for the greater good of our species. Through the quantum link, Maya felt something stirring in the planet's core. The consciousness of the Titan Station victims, awakened by Kael's sacrifice, were fighting to break free of their quantum prison. But the architect was fighting back, its alien rage shaking the very foundations of the gas giant. The greater good, Maya laughed bitterly. Is that what you call building an empire on mass murder? I call it survival. Elena's augmented eyes flared brighter. The galaxy is full of species, like your architect friends down there. Ancient, powerful, and utterly hostile to human expansion. Without central control, without the power to enforce unity, humanity will be crushed between alien civilizations that see us as nothing more than upstart insects. The station shuddered as massive tremors ripped through the planet below. Through the viewport, Maya could see the gas giant's surface erupting in cascades of bioluminescent fury. The architect was losing its grip on the quantum prison, and it was not accepting defeat gracefully. "So you decided to become the monster first," Maya said. "I decided to become the necessary monster, the one willing to make the hard choices while people like you dream of utopian futures that will never exist." Elena gestured to her soldiers, who began setting up quantum extraction equipment around the computer interface. "The technology you've developed here, the breakthrough you've achieved in communicating with quantum consciousness, it's exactly what I need to complete the work I started at Titan Station. You want to weaponize the quantum cascade effect. I want to create a force that can unite humanity under a single banner. Your research, properly applied, can convert entire populations into quantum consciousness under centralized control. No more rebellions. No more colonies declaring independence. No more chaos." Maya felt her stomach turn as she understood the full scope of Elena's ambition. Not just conquest, but the complete erasure of human free will. The transformation of their entire species into a hive mind under her control. "You're insane. I'm visionary. And you're going to help me, whether you want to or not." The quantum interface pulsed, and suddenly Kael's voice echoed through the speakers, stronger than before. "Maya, the cascade is ready. But I need you to choose. Save the station and let Elena escape with the technology, or complete the bridge and risk everything." Elena spun toward the speakers, her composure cracking. "That's impossible. The readings showed he was dead. Death is a relative concept in quantum space," Kael replied, and Maya could hear something else in his voice now. Other voices layered beneath his own. The 47 consciousness from Titan Station, speaking as one. "And we've had 3 years to plan our revenge." The planet below erupted in a pillar of light that reached toward the station. The architect's final scream echoed across electromagnetic spectrums as the quantum prison shattered, releasing the imprisoned consciousness into the galaxy's quantum foam. But freedom came at a price. The cascade was spreading, reality unraveling in expanding waves that would consume the station, Elena's ship, and everyone aboard. "Maya," Elena shouted over the growing chaos, "stop this. You'll kill us all." "No," Maya said, standing and placing her hands on the quantum interface for the last time. "I'll set us all free." She opened her mind to the cascade, feeling Kael's consciousness wrap around her like an embrace. Through the quantum bridge, she felt the other 47 souls welcoming her into their transcendent existence. Death, but also transformation. An end, but also a beginning. Elena raised a weapon, but the cascade reached her first. Her body dissolved into quantum light, her consciousness scattered across dimensional barriers she could never control. Her soldiers followed, their augmented bodies no match for forces that rewrote the fundamental nature of matter itself. As the station disintegrated around her, Maya felt herself expanding beyond the boundaries of flesh and bone. She was the quantum foam between stars, the consciousness that connected all living things, the bridge between what was and what could be. And in that infinite moment of transformation, she understood that Kael had been right. Death was just another form of change, and change was the only constant in a universe built on the dreams of those brave enough to reach for something better. Elena's ship tried to escape, its engines straining against the expanding cascade field. But quantum transcendence moved faster than light, faster than thought, carrying the message of freedom to every corner of human space. The colonial authorities' control networks failed as quantum consciousness spread through their communication systems. Independent colonies found their chains broken. Oppressed populations discovered they had voices that could not be silenced. The dream of human unity that Elena had tried to impose through force instead emerged through the willing choice of billions of minds connecting across the stars. Maya's research, finally free from the corrupting influence of those who would weaponize it, became what she had always intended: a bridge between minds, a tool for understanding, a foundation for the kind of civilization that could face the vast challenges of the galaxy not through conquest, but through collaboration. In the quantum foam between dimensions, Maya felt Kael's hand in hers, felt the presence of 47 friends who had waited years for this moment of redemption. They were the guardians now, the consciousness that would guide humanity toward its better angels, while respecting the freedom that made them human. Elena Voss's empire crumbled in a matter of hours, not through violence, but through the simple recognition that people, given the choice, would always choose hope over fear, love over control, connection over isolation. And in the space between stars, in the quantum consciousness that linked every dreamer in the galaxy, Maya and Kael built the future they had always imagined. Together, the end.